Mike Bohn, joined today by AJ McKee, undefeated Bellator featherweight, who is getting ready to compete in the featherweight Grand Prix final coming up in 2021. So just a little bit, if we can. I know you've talked about it, immediately after the fight and some interviews since, but just walk us through the submission.
So when I first locked it up, if you watch, I was kind of playing off of his hips with my legs, and then I locked up the body triangle. Once I had the underhook, I kind of knew where I was at. I had the underhook, and I was like, all right, well, I know the 100% roll. I can roll them through. I kind of been rolling people my whole life. So once because playing with the leg. Once I got the underhook and I had locked down his lower body with the body triangle, I knew he couldn't go anywhere. So it was just really fishing in that underhook and getting the underhook as deep as I could. But since he buried his head on the side, like most wrestlers do when they get in trouble, I just knew where I was at. So I got the underhook. I kind of locked up the gable grip across his back, and I just start applying pressure. It's kind of an uncomfortable move. My dad always talks smack. He's like, "You'll never tap me out in that," but I'm like, "Dude, it's a good move." I think the creativity behind it. I used to do chin whips a lot when I was a kid, so when I would chin whip kids, I get stuck on my back a lot of the times, and I'd end up kind of having like a neck crank in a sense without the body triangle or without the legs. So just over the years of doing jujitsu and just kind of scrambling and figuring out and knowing where I'm at, rolling with bigger guys, I used to use that move a lot to hold them or to stall. And once I felt how small Cardwell's lower half of his frame was, I just knew once I locked the body triangle up, he wasn't going anywhere. So I don't know. That move was it's old bread and butter, but bread and butter. I could call her Old Faithful.
Does as someone who obviously has a very good mind for grappling and everything going forward, like having shown off a move like that, does it open up your ground game even more? Because maybe next time you're in that position, someone might be expecting that, but it could lead them into something else with you.
Definitely. I think that's the key about myself and just my fight style in general. You don't really know what to train for. You don't know what to get ready for. It's like one day I'm brawling like I'm a brawler, and then the next day I'm out here pulling guillotines, and the people are like, "Well, what the hell?" Like I thought he was gonna come out brawling. So, for me, I don't know. I feel like my jiu-jitsu is very underrated. This is just kind of like the tip of the iceberg. You know what I mean? The ice is melting away, and people are starting to see now. They're starting to see what I'm capable of, the things that I'm doing. You can't call every fight a fluke. You know what I mean? You can't say every fight is luck. So for me, it's just keep proving people wrong and winning them over.
So I did this like State of the Union Bellator interview with Scott Coker last week. It was like 40 minutes long or so, and we talked quite a bit about you. And I mentioned to him how I think you're kind of the future of this company, future of the sport, and we kind of look back on how they brought you along. I know there had been some frustration from yourself all along these 17 fights in terms of maybe wanting to get along a little faster, maybe some stuff from the fans too. But I think we kind of agreed that where you are now, looking back at the perfect position, going to be 17-0 going into your first world title fight. In hindsight, can you say that this was probably done perfectly and this build has kind of been the most appropriate thing possible to get you to the spot?
Definitely, and I have to give all that credit to my father and Scott Coker. Scott Coker came to my last amateur fight and signed me straight to Bellator. So he's seen a lot in me from the jump, and he's kind of just been waiting for me to, I'd say, come into my stardom, and into being an actual star, not just being a supreme athlete and being the best in the world, but actually being a star, being able to deal with the lights, the pressure, the money, just the lifestyle. So, yeah, I have to take my hats off to Scott Croker and my father. They've worked diligently together, day in, day out at building me. They didn't just throw me to the wolves, which is good. They let me get comfortable in the cage, which I feel like I've been comfortable since my first fight. But they let me get comfortable. They let me. They didn't just throw me in there to seasoned fighters that are strategically looking to take you out on every movement. there's a lot that comes with a fight IQ, and you can't level up your fight IQ without being in that cage. And that's something my father always told me for many years. And getting older, having 17 fights now, I see what he was talking about. You know, that fight IQ of actually being in the cage is completely different from training and pulling Raphael, spinning heel kicks. You know, once you get in there, half the stuff you know goes out the window, and you're gonna go to what you know. You know, what's your bread and butter. So we're all creatures of habit. You know, you just gotta keep evolving and keep adding to it.
And you've talked openly about, you earlier in your 20s, you were kind of living the party lifestyle and maybe not completely focused on where you needed to be. Do you think maybe if you had got, one of those bigger name opponents, something like that at like 10-0, you maybe wouldn't have been ready for it and could have had a stumble?
Definitely. I think the lifestyle that I was living, I'd honestly have to give all the glory to God on that one, man. I there were fights I shouldn't have won for sure. There were fights I shouldn't have fought. I wasn't ready, you know. So being in those situations and growing from those and being able to take a lesson from each one of those situations and really being able to learn from it, I think that's like the key for me. Yeah, that's really like the key. If I were to have taken on some of the top names, I feel like I could have done it regardless. The difference was me being prepared. You know, when we go to fight now, I know I'm prepared 100%. You know, every fight should look like it's easy. You know, I'm gonna walk through these guys, and I feel like that's just the level that I'm at. You know, that's my skill set. It's 10 times more superior than any other athlete, especially in my weight class. So for me, I'm thankful I went through what I went through. I think with the other fighters, you know, I try not to focus on anyone. I spent a lot of my youth time focusing on who's on top. Man, I can beat this person. I know I can beat this person. Damn, I feel like me and Holloway would be like the super fight for so long because that's the best striker to me, you know? So just always kind of wigging out on that. I had to take that thought process and switch it, you know? I used to let that affect me a lot. So I figure my time will come, you know? I'll be able to get to showcase my skills against the top people in the world eventually, you know? At the moment, Patricio Pitbull, I feel like he's that man, you know? He's been holding that belt, 17 fights that I've been calling his name. So I mean, I'm looking forward to it, you know. Hopefully he gets through Sanchez. If he doesn't, whatever. I get to beat up Sanchez and go get that 55-pound title from him. So I'm looking forward to it, man. Now's the time, you know. Every fight from here on out is going to be a top name, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, and you said a couple things there I want to get into, but if we can go back to kind of my initial question there, was there a moment or like something that happened that kind of changed your mindset in terms of getting the focus completely dialed in, or were you just kind of, you got all your fun out of the way and were like, okay, it's time to get serious? Or was there actually something that happened that changed your mentality?
I think it was an accumulation of both. I think it was an accumulation of having my father ride my ass and just always point me in the right direction to the point to where it's like he stopped talking. And when my dad stops talking, either you're really messing up or either you're getting on track. So I think just everyone as humans, as they get older, they kind of get wiser, you know. Certain habits, certain lifestyles that you're living, they kind of grow old, you know what I mean? So I'd say me seeing the path that I'm on at the moment and seeing what's lying ahead, I kind of use that as motivation. You know what I mean? Partying's not going anywhere. I could go be a multimillionaire and then partying's still right there. You know what I mean? I could go throw my own parties. So for me, I think it was just getting older in a sense, you know, kind of getting my priorities right. And shit, I got a family to feed. You know what I mean? I got my little brother right there. I got my dad, my other brother. So it's, I would say it's just, yeah, doing it for your family, man. That's a big key for me, you know. I got a lot of people that look up to me and depend on me, so I think that was a big motivation part for me to really kind of change my ways and get my life together.
No, that's great stuff. And you said it yourself, man, like the future going forward, it's all going to be really, really tough fights, all big name guys in terms of, what they've done in the sport. So you feel like you could not be more prepared for that at this point.
Oh, dude, I'm gonna make some examples out of people. I cannot wait. Yeah, man, I'm looking across the UFC. I'm like, dude, I'd love to have a field day with some of these guys. You know what I mean? Shit, like I said, burn or take it from me in a triangle when I was 19. So that if it ever happens, I got to get that get back. You know what I mean? But yeah, he's cool. Him, Holloway, Volkanovski, those are only three I really watch. If you're not top three, I don't really care about it. You know what I mean? I'm just, I don't know. I feel like that's kind of where my mindset is. If you're not at the top of the food chain, why am I going to even focus on you? You know what I mean? It's top three, and that's about it for me. I couldn't name anybody else.
Yeah, and I don't know what your contract status is with Bellator. I assume whenever it does run out, they're going to do everything they can. Two left, eh?
To that.
So it'll be the final and then one after.
Yeah, but you know how contracts work, and they got clauses that extend. We'll sit down. we're gonna have to do some sit down after this tournament for sure. So that's my main thing, man. Once I get through this tournament, I go knock Pitbull's ass out and shock the world once more. It's gonna give me a lot of let's say leverage. I've always said it. I'm Floyd Mayweather MMA, so I'm looking to make that Floyd money, that $100 million check, and be undefeated. You know what I mean? Khabib's the only other person to do it, and he's not doing it like me. You know what I mean? He's putting people out. He's a great fighter, one of my favorite fighters. His style reminds me a lot of my father. So I admire his fight career, especially with his father and him. Rest in peace. I just kind of look up to that. I would say that family legacy and that tradition. You know what I mean? Coming from a father, having my father be my coach. Yeah, it's fire. You know what I mean? I feel like our fathers put a different mindset in us. You know what I mean? Being raised for this, we know what we're here to do, and it's a problem for people.
Yeah, and I mean, just because you brought it up, I am curious. So when you look at Khabib right there and what he's going through, and the decision to seemingly not continue his career too much longer without his father there, could you even put yourself in that position to maybe not want to continue if that relationship isn't there anymore?
Lost without words, man. Honestly, I respect him for getting that last fight out the way, and I don't know, man. He told his mother he wouldn't fight no more. That's, you know what I mean? I don't know. If I didn't have my father, fuck, I don't think I could do it, honestly. I mean, I could fight, but there's going to be a lot of anger. I don't think there's going to be a technical AJ. You know what I mean? I'm going to be out there just swinging, trying to hurt something. So I don't know, man. That's a tough one, and that's why I took my hats off to him. I really he won a lot of respect over from me in that fight, and that's I don't just judge your character inside the cage, but outside the cage as well, and that's why I've always kind of geared towards Khabib. He's just a great person inside and outside of the cage. I don't know him personally too well, but he's doing good.
Definitely. Those are great words. And a couple last things before I let you go. In the end, I know you've talked about, your dream of submitting Emmanuel Sanchez in the final, but do you want this to be Pitbull? I mean, he's the guy. He has all the records in Bellator. He's been, the most dominant champion, et cetera, et cetera. If he wins this next fight against Sanchez, he'll be the only Bellator champion ever to get 4 consecutive title defenses, which to me is pretty crazy. Limale McFarland just fell just short of that 3. He's the guy with all the credentials. I assume, to win the tournament, the best featherweight tournament Bellator's ever put together, that would be the ideal guy to beat at the end, right?
Yes and no. Yes,
Okay.
because Pitbull is the truth. You know what I mean? No, can't take any credit from this man. He's been a great world champ. He's held that belt for 17 fights while I've been with the organization. So he's been that man. He's held his own for quite some time. But like I've said, man, this is the new era, the new wave, and I'm coming full force. So I really don't care who ends up in finals, and I think that's what's kind of scaring people even more because I really just don't care. Like, at the end of the day, I'm not getting in that cage to fight them. They're going to get in there to fight me. You know what I mean? I know what I'm here to do. I know my job, and I'm going to go in there, and I'm going to continue to do what I got to do best, and that's put on a great show and entertain the fans, I would prefer to fight Sanchez. Why? Because at that point, I can say I've honestly ran through the entire division, and there's nothing left for me. You know what I mean? I go up to 155 pounds. I fight Patricio for the 155-pound title, and that's the fight that everyone's been wanting to see. So, for me, that's my perfect story. You know, he loses to Sanchez. I beat up Sanchez, and then I go beat up Pitbull, and voila, I'm here. You know what I mean? So, I don't know. We'll see how things play out. We'll see how things work, you know. I'm trying to just keep this right, you know what I mean? Because I do got to wait until they fight, and then we got to schedule our fight. So that's my fight, you know, is waiting to fight.
Yeah, that was going to be my last question. Is maybe the actual ideal scenario just have one of those guys beat each other in a relatively quick and non-damaging fashion so you can turn this thing around? Like, you're definitely not hoping for a 5-round war, right?
No, I'm hoping for a 5-round war. If they beat the shit out of each other, it makes it that much easier when I get to whoop their ass. So I know it's kind of wrong to think that way, but hey, man, you know what I mean? It's the fight life. We got to put food on the table. You know, we're all, at the end of the day, hoping on each other's downfall. We all want each other to lose, and we all want to beat each other. So it's nothing personal, you know what I mean? I think that's where the respect for each other comes into the battle itself, you know? At the end of the fight, we're going to hug it out, you know? We're going to show love to each other, and we're going to appreciate each other for the battle, for the war, and just sharing that moment, you know?
So if it is a 5-round war, are you okay with having to wait, 6 months maybe for those guys to turn around? I think that's more so what I was saying, right? Like, you kind of want a quick fight so we can get this thing done.
I think it's going to be a 6-month wait regardless.
Yeah. You don't think they're going to want to turn around quickly no matter how the fight goes?
Well, when's the fight? That's the next problem.
Yeah.
That's why I think it's going to be a 6-month wait. So once we get a release date for their fight, I can kind of set myself up to know, all right, you're going to be fighting within 3 months. You're going to be fighting within 4 months. You know what I mean? I figure once they fight, that gives me 3 months, you know what I mean, to kind of prepare. Yeah, I would say 3 months is all I really need. That's a long ass camp. That's a long ass time. You know what I mean? I'm still in the gym. So for me, the training doesn't stop, you know, you just got to keep evolving and being better. I can't wait. Literally cannot wait.
Well, when I spoke with Scott, he said ideally, he'd have the final in May. So we'll see. Fingers crossed that would be quicker than 6 months. So let's hope for the best there. But either way, giving you another 5-6 months to train, I imagine that makes an even scarier AJ McKee the next time you do fight.
It's going to be great, man. I can't wait to go out there, put on a great show, and steal all the Pitbull's fans.
Awesome, man. Well, again, congratulations on having the best submission of 2020. It seems like 2021 is going to be an even bigger year for you. So I really appreciate the time talking about all this, giving an update, and hope you enjoy the hills on Big Bear.
Thanks, man. Happy holidays. I hope you enjoy your new year. Appreciate you for having me, and stay blessed.
You too, brother. Have a great day. Thank you so much.
All right, likewise.